Something you are probably doing every day, whether you realize it or not, is actually adding so much extra stress, struggle, and suffering to your life, and that is attachment. So on this video, I'm going to be breaking down why this is such an important thing to become aware of and shift out of if you want to find freedom. Because honestly, if you can find a way to create non-attachment in your life, there's the the suffering is going to go away. So let's dive in. Welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle. I'm here to help you live your truth, and this video is going to totally transform your life. If you absorb what I'm going to share here and you take it to heart and you start to take actions with this, everything can change for you. And I say that because it's done that for myself in my own life and for all of my clients. And the thing a lot of people don't realize is it's actually our attachment to things that creates the problem. So this could be attachment to objects, outcomes, people, right? Again, it's on there. It's really messy, but it's on there. Okay, so I'm going to give a few examples so that you can really relate and like see how this is affecting you in your own life right now. And then I'm going to share how you can break out of it and why it's so important to break out of this. Okay, so attachment to an object. So you think about a cell phone. This is just an inanimate object. Yes, it's very important. It has a lot of details of our life in there and everything, but when you have attachment to it, that's where suffering starts to come in. And that's where, things start to change. Maybe you start to become really reliant, dependent on it. You are attached so strongly that you don't know how to live without it. And say now something happens and it breaks or whatever, all of your suffering is because you were so attached to needing that. And in my own life, like a perfect example was a few years back with my laptop. Obviously, I work from home. My laptop's really important. Everything's on there. But, and I didn't do my own due diligence and my own responsible things of backing it up. But all of a sudden, one day I was working at a Starbucks and like my screen went all super weird and it was just like, uh-oh, what's happening? And I took it into a computer shop because I went home. I couldn't open it. Like I opened it, nothing came on, right? It was just like gone. And all of a sudden, in comes the suffering, in comes the stress and panic because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many things on this. And I take it in, and fortunately, the damage on it was like super weird and really bad. And they were like, we're really lucky that we can actually access your files because it's like the whole hard drive crashed out of nowhere. So they were able to recover everything for me. But the suffering I had was all because I had such a really strong attachment to it. And it was like I caught myself in this place of reacting like the world was over, when in reality, yes, it would have been very unfortunate to lose my laptop, to lose all the stuff on there. Yes, it would have been frustrating to lose my phone or lose all my photos and stuff, right? But like, does it really matter? Is it actually the end of the world? I'm still breathing. I still have a roof over my head. I still have food to eat. I still have my basic needs met, and I can always recreate what I needed to if I needed to. Do you know what I mean? Another example was this last year. I have a lot of technology problems. This last year, my Facebook account got like hacked into and Facebook deleted it. And so all of my pictures since the beginning of Facebook were gone. All my friends and connections that I've met in my 8 years of travel, like my 10 or 11 years of all my trips. And all the friends were gone. Every single comment or message I had ever sent was disappeared. Like it was removed and banned because Facebook had this hacker and they thought I was spamming people. So it just like shut down everything and removed everything I'd ever done. And like I didn't have attachment at that time. I was honestly quite happy to have that happen because I was like, it's a fresh start. So because I wasn't attached, there was no suffering. But had I been attached to it, I would have been in a panic. I would have been freaking out. I probably would have been angry because that can be a default emotion. We get angry, and just the whole situation would have been different. So because I was practicing mindfulness, practicing non-attachment, like really focusing in on the bigger picture, it still affected things with my business. I still had extra things to get done to try and fix what had happened and get myself back on Facebook to connect with clients and in my Facebook groups and all these things. But like, it wasn't nearly as big of a deal as I think a lot of people would have found it. And it's just because of attachment. Okay, so attachment equals suffering, because when you're clinging to something really tightly, that is attachment, right? You're clinging. And this goes for let's say even outcomes or situations. Say you're really attached to getting this promotion and you really, really want it so badly, and you're like desperate for it. You just have that desperate energy of like, I need this so badly. That is literally the definition of attachment. And when you're so tightly attached to something, if you don't get it, it's going to be suffering. And even in the process of getting there, you are suffering because you've got such a strong pull and all these emotions leading you into something that may or may not actually become yours. So instead of just like enjoying the moment, and this is where it's practiced like in Buddhism and in Tibet and all these different ancient cultures that would practice non-attachment, and it's just like seeing it, being open, being happy. Whether you get it or not, you can be happy. You still have the other things, you have your other needs met. And I know sometimes in life if you are in a really difficult situation and like there are a lot of things that your basic needs, you're struggling to have those met, it's going to be more difficult to practice this than those who have a roof over their head and don't have to worry about maybe buying food, and they know they have a job to bring in money, right? So I do understand that based on each person's situation, there is going to be a level of ease in becoming more aware of this kind of mindset. But the reality is that the more you attach and cling to something, the more you're suffering on the way to get it, and the more you're going to suffer if you don't get it, because you've just spent all this time being so attached to this promotion and trying to like imagine and be desperate and be like, I just really need it and want it. And all of that is creating stress and tension in the buildup for it. And then say you don't get it, now it's like the world falls down around you and you're suddenly left alone, right? So it is the attachment and the way that we look at things, the way we create our own energy around like needing something, that creates a lot of problems. And again, it's easier said than done. This is something I catch myself on a lot because where's my pen? Say even that you're attached to a person. This is a perfect example. When you are in a relationship with someone or a new relationship, say you really, really like them, if you get too attached and you have that really clingy energy, a lot of times people sense that and they kind of back off because they're like, whoa, this is a lot. And so then if you're still being clingy, you're attached and you just really, really, really want it to work, you're going to cling even harder and try to grab on even harder, but then they're still like backing up, right? And it's not like a nice dance. It's like a pushing them away kind of thing. So the energy you show up with in different situations and how attached and like desperate you are to make it happen is actually going to usually create the adverse effect. And if I just draw, it's going to be, I don't even know what I'm drawing. There, that's a great drawing. Say you want, Beautiful. Okay, say you want a relationship and you're putting it on a pedestal because you're like so desperate. You just, all you want in life and all you think you need in order to be happy is this relationship. You have created such a strong energy of want and such a strong attachment to it, and you've been putting it on this pedestal. That's what this is supposed to be, a pedestal. So you're like putting it up there of like, this is everything I need, this is everything I want, please bring it to me. But that is creating the energy of not having, because you're basically saying, I don't have this right now and I really want it. And that's actually kind of creates the adverse effect of law of attraction and manifestation and calling it into you, because you're basically reaffirming to yourself throughout the day that you don't have it with your desperate energy of wanting. Like, I really, really want this relationship. If I have this, everything will be great. I'll be happy. Well, that means you're saying every day as you say that, I don't have this right now. And I'm not happy right now because I don't have it. You're just like reaffirming the negative. And so when you put things on a pedestal, there's a lot of extra struggle and tension energetically that makes it even harder to get to. Where you want to be is like, beautiful. That one person has a really long neck. You want to be in the energy of already having everything. When you already have it, when you already believe it is yours and you have that energy behind yourself, there is no attachment, because it's just like what is. It's coming. It's going. Whatever needs to come will come my way. Whatever needs to leave will leave. I'm not attached to the outcome. I feel good either way. I know I'm whole and worthy and complete. I know I'm supported. I know I'm going to always have my needs met. Life is good. That is the energy that allows you to bring things into you and decreases the suffering. So instead of putting things up on a pedestal, it's hard to do this backwards. Instead of putting things up on a pedestal, you're just imagining and taking on the energy of already having it right now, because then you're going to feel good right now. Instead of suffering and wishing for what it is you want, you feel into the feelings, the energy, the beliefs you would have right now about it, and just live from that space. And that does take out a whole lot of suffering from you. And so this was something I learned and worked through a lot when I was in India a few years back, because it was really all about mindfulness and tuning into like the suffering I was creating in my own mind. So another example, and something that was really difficult for me after losing my brother, was like the I believe it was like Buddhist teachings, but I kind of forget right now. But they talked about like attachment to people and then that suffering. And so grieving is actually an example of suffering because you are attached to the person. And attachment also means thinking it's mine. So that's like a whole other tangent. But say when I lost my brother, part of the reason I was grieving so much, and not to take away from it, because that grief is very valid, all of these emotions are very valid, but part of the reason I was grieving so much is because I was attached to the belief, my ego was attached to the belief that he was mine. He was my brother. He was supposed to be here as I got older. You know, we were supposed to grow old together and have our separate families and be really close, all these things that I had attached to and believed I was just kind of entitled to almost. And that is the attachment that then when all of a sudden something's taken away that wasn't actually yours to begin with, you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Like you're left in the dust with nothing, and then even more suffering occurs. So I think the point is finding a lot of like more healthy detachment. So this doesn't mean that I'm not kind to other people or I'm not like creating friendships or relationships, but when I do it, I'm a lot more aware of the fact that like this can change. This can always change. It can come and go. This person might not stay in my life forever. It's not something I can really control. I can just do my part. and letting go of that need to make it happen the way I want it to happen, because that is where then the suffering can come in. So you can let me know in the comments if you found this helpful, if this brought any like awareness to you in your own life, and some areas where you may be attached to a person, an outcome, an object, like really, really clinging and desperate and desiring it. And I don't mean desperate in a bad way, but just like really wanting something to be yours, and how that creates suffering in your life. Whereas if you can just step back, and like what I try and do now with relationships and with people is like, I know I can't control when someone passes away. I know I can't control and keep them here forever. I know I can't I can't guarantee that I keep friends or employees or people in my life forever. But I know that the suffering and the negative energy is when I'm trying to force that and trying to like manipulate it or to create it exactly the way I want it to, instead of working on that healthy detachment of seeing the situation, stepping back, focusing on, okay, here's the things that I have, here's the things that feel good, here's what we're working towards. I'm okay if this changes. I know I'll be okay if it changes, because I'll find my way through, or I'll do what I have to do when that time comes, but I'm not spending all this time stressing, ruminating, and controlling the situation. So that non-attachment allows you to kind of decrease the control you're trying to have over things in life that you really cannot control. So you can pop that down below if you have any questions, or if you, have any questions, or if you can relate to this, then let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.